There are lots of things that we can teach you about on the running channel, but I bet you didn't think you'd be watching a video telling you how to breathe. Trust me though, there is something for everyone in this video. I'm Anna, and today on the running channel, I'm going to be going through some tips and techniques to help you breathe while you're running, which can benefit your training and, if you believe some of the studies, even help stave off injury. First up though, if you're new around here, welcome along, it's great to have you. Please tap subscribe, it's free, and the bell icon so you get notified when we upload new videos all about running, which we do every single week. First up, it's really important to note that if you're having real trouble while you're breathing and you're a beginner, it's totally normal because it takes a while for your cardiovascular system to play catch up, but trust us, it does get easier. But if you are asthmatic, or perhaps you are having real struggles while you're breathing when you're running, then it's probably best to go and see a medical expert just to check out that it's nothing more sinister. So breathing comes totally naturally to us humans, right? But when runners start off running, they can find that breathing is actually the thing that they struggle with the most. And that is because it's quite difficult for runners to regulate their breathing when they first start out. And in turn, that then kicks in the body's stress response, which can make you panic breathe. And if you think about when you panic breathe, you might feel like it's coming from high up in your chest, which is why when you're running, you should focus on diaphragmatic breathing. Now, diaphragmatic breathing comes from deep down in your diaphragm and can also then help with your VO2 max. So that's your maximal oxygen consumption. And if you want some more details about what VO2 max is and why you should be interested in it, then make sure you check out our video all about it on the running channel. Diaphragmatic breathing is when you breathe deep down from your diaphragm, which means it opens up your chest cavity, allowing more oxygen to come in. If you've got more oxygen-rich blood flowing around your body, then it means you can stave off fatigue for longer. So practicing this deep diaphragmatic breathing can improve your running. We'll go into some ways of practicing diaphragmatic breathing later on in this video. These are ways that aren't running, but another benefit of this deep belly breathing is that it can produce a calming effect. So think things like yoga classes, for example, and that can also then help with your mental fortitude because you're staying calm and breathing deeper. So as we've talked about, it's really important as a runner to focus on breathing deep down from your diaphragm. And as part of that, your posture comes into play as well. So everyone's running form looks completely different. We're all unique as runners in the way that we move, but there are two main cues that you should think about whilst running that will help your breathing too. And they are head up and shoulders back. So as distance runners in particular, we do tend to hunch forward when we're getting tired. But if you think about a string pulling your head up and also pulling your shoulder blades back so that they're sort of towards touching at the back, then that opens up your chest area and allows you to get more oxygen in. So practice that now. Take a deep breath in as normal, and then try taking a really deep breath in when you're upright, your head's up, your shoulders are back. And that feels completely different. So these are things that you should be thinking about whilst you're running, especially as you're getting tired, to try and maximize the amount of oxygen you're giving to your body. Finding and settling into a rhythm with your breathing can help you control your breathing the longer that you're out. So how about trying to time your breathing to a song, for example? So think of the song and count your breaths in and out matched to the beat or every other beat. Or if you choose to wear headphones when you run, put the song on and match your breathing to the timing of the song. If you want to just count, that's another good way to banish any negative thoughts as well, because it takes your mind off the running and instead you're focusing on counting and on your breathing. So as a really general rule of thumb, maybe try working with these numbers. So for a low intensity, slower run, try doing 3 steps when you breathe in and 3 steps when you breathe out. Or for higher intensity, faster stuff, do 2 steps as you breathe in and 2 steps as you breathe out. As we said though, these rates really are a general rule of thumb, and what works for one runner might not work for another. So the best advice we can give is to try a few out and see what works for you. The main thing is to focus on that deep diaphragmatic belly breathing so that you can maximize the amount of oxygen you're getting to your body, and so therefore can be out running for a bit longer. So while we're talking about finding your rhythm whilst breathing and running, there have been some fascinating studies that have been done into this, including how your breathing could actually decrease your chance of injury. So stay with me on this one. So the study in question is by two professors at the University of Utah, and what they found is that if you're consistently breathing out on the same time that your foot is hitting the ground on one side, you're more likely to pick up injuries on that side. So for example, if every time your left foot hits the ground you breathe out, then you're more likely to pick up injury on your left side, according to the study. So the idea behind this is when you breathe out, the muscles around your diaphragm relax and therefore you lose stability in your core. If you lose stability in your core at the point of greatest impact when your foot hits the ground, then it's a perfect storm for injuries. So this goes back to the rhythmic breathing patterns that we just told you about, which is also known as cadence breathing. So if you're like most runners, you'll probably have an even breathing pattern. So like, for example, a 2-2. So breathing in for 2 steps and breathing out for 2 steps. What's recommended though is to try and do an alternating breathing pattern. So like a 2-1. So breathing in for 2 steps, but out for 1. And the whole reason behind this is so that you're stopping yourself from landing on the same foot on the exhale every single time. And if those studies that we told you about are to be believed, then this can make you less injury prone because you're increasing your core stability on both sides and you're not always breathing out on the same foot. However, it's easier said than done, and trying to focus on doing this whilst you're out running, we'll leave that up to you to try. So the exact cause of stitches isn't 100% clear, but what we do know is that stitches happen when your diaphragm starts to cramp. So it stands to reason that because your diaphragm plays such a big role in breathing techniques for runners, that actually it might have something to do with your diaphragm and improper breathing causing those stitches. This is further supported by the fact that stitches tend to be more common in newer runners who might be struggling with their breathing technique. So in order to avoid getting stitches, before you set off on your run, practice that deep belly breathing. This will warm your diaphragm up, ready for when you hit the ground running. And when you start your run, start off at a slower pace. Focus on your breathing technique, give your diaphragm time to warm up, and then start to gradually up your pace. So there are products out there called inspiratory muscle trainers, and what they do is they help strengthen your breathing muscles, so your intercostal muscles and your diaphragm. Now the jury is out on whether these are of any benefit or not, but there was a recent study with a small group of runners doing a 2-mile race, and what it showed was that the runners who used these breathing trainers in the warm-up for 30 breaths against the resistance of the breathing trainers actually performed better in the race. But like I say, the jury is still out on these, but perhaps for anyone looking for marginal gains, it might work for you, and we couldn't do a video about breathing technique without mentioning them. Practicing your deep breathing techniques while you're not running can be a really great way to improve your mindfulness and also to calm your nerves if you're at a race, for example. So a really easy way to do this is to lie down on your back on the floor and put a book on your chest. Then breathe in really, really deeply and watch as the book rises and falls with each breath. Focus on trying to exhale all of the oxygen out of your lungs. And with a bit of practice, this deep breathing technique will come more naturally. Activities like yoga and swimming can not only help with your general fitness and strength as a runner, but they can also practice your rhythmic breathing. So when you're swimming, you're forced to focus on your breathing because you have to breathe when your head is out of the water. So thinking about doing front crawl, when you're turning your head to the side, that's when you have to take your breath in, and when your head goes back in the water is when you breathe out. There's no stopping or pausing, it's a constant rhythm. Yoga is another activity that complements running because it not only helps with body imbalances, but it helps teach that deep belly breathing. So running can throw up all kinds of mind games. Maybe you're racing a 10K and you get to 1K and think, I've got 9K left to go and I can't do it. And those negative thoughts instantly make you tense up and then panic breathe, like what we said at the beginning of the video, when you breathe from your chest. But yoga can teach you to breathe more deeply, and in turn, that deep breathing can open your body up to relax and welcome more positive thoughts like, I can do this 10K, no problem at all. Hopefully you found some useful tips and techniques on breathing in this video. Let us know if you've learned something, leave us a comment below, and we'll see you next time on the Running Channel.